one thing I left off in the first one. No, on the day, some people, Peter tells me that on the day that we done this on the Suzuki, that a few of you got up him saying, you should have shut your mouth, Peter, because Joe was going to tell you exactly how he done it and everything else, and you kept interrupting you.
What was that? Did I interrupt? Jeez, what was that? Just hold on a minute.
That's wrong, because all his interruptions and everything else, if I was going to tell you, I would have told you, and if I was going to tell you now, I would have told you now. He didn't interrupt. I wasn't going to tell you. It's out there for you to come up with some of the ideas of what's making some of this stuff work. It's damn frequencies. Frequencies. All different kinds of frequencies do different things. And I just played with one at the present moment. Do you know every kind of fuels that you use have to have a different frequency? Different timings? Different everything? Go up to the drags. Look at the AA fuel rails. The big, fastest machines. Are they going from points condensers in the distributors? No, not good enough. Are they going to electronic? No, going the wrong direction. They're going back to not one magneto, they're going back to twin magnetos. 8 cylinders, 16 leads, not 8, 16 leads into an 8-cylinder motor, and they're screaming the tyres to oblivion and getting horsepower that you can't believe. Back to the old Maggie. What, have we gone the wrong direction or something? Anyway, no, I was not going to tell you, and so on. And there may be a time I will, but the thing is, at the present moment, you won't learn if I tell you something. And then the other fellas out there are just going to say, oh, you're full of shit, which you're going to do about this anyway, so what the heck. I don't care. Say bullshit, say anything you like, I don't care.
Joe, if I mention 4.71, what's that mean to you?
4.71 sounds like seconds.
Sounds like
parts
seconds?
of a second, yeah.
Parts of a second? Yeah. What
like
happened to that vehicle?
And now, you didn't ask that question, and you didn't say it was a vehicle or anything else.
I didn't know, I just said 4.71.
4.71 was a vehicle running without fuel and everything else on the drag track, and it got buried because of what it could do. No sound, no wheel spin, no G-forces. It was taken straight away and buried. And people were at the track, it was done on drag track here in Australia. And
roughly what year?
Around 95, 96. Yeah.
1995? And there were what, 3,000 to 4,000 people at the drag track?
You actually seen this, didn't you?
Well, I saw the video.
There you go. Did you see thousands of people?
Well, I estimated.
A couple.
Yeah, a couple of thousand people as witnesses. Now, there was no flame coming out of it.
No sound, no flame, no fuel.
But
no
I did
wheel
hear a
stand.
sonic boom right at the end of the run. What
No,
was
you
that?
didn't. You heard it at the start.
Thought it was at the end.
See, you're backwards.
I knew that. I knew. And I'm interrupting again.
What we think we see and what we think we hear and what we think we understand and everything else, sometimes we don't. You know, we are a little bit sometimes backwards. No, the vehicle on the track was idling. Yes? And it just had a little bit of white, foggy, steamy stuff coming out, a little exhaust at the back.
Yeah, it did.
And then, after the thousands or so people counted from 10 to 0, it looked like then the fellow had planted the accelerator after they counted to 0. And he did. There was no revs before that.
No. Went with cold tyres?
Yes. And when he did that, applied the accelerator, there was a mighty bang.
Was it a him or a she that applied the accelerator?
I never said. And the vehicle and everything else sort of didn't wheel stand, didn't wheel spin, did it? It just, there was this white stuff will come out the exhaust pipe, what you might call fog, cloud, steam, something like that. Didn't light, did it?
No.
Didn't catch a light, just got blown backwards. There's no flame, no nothing, and then there was no noise, the whole track. And nobody...
Well, one kid snapped his neck looking.
That's what you see, one little kid, just... That's all he did.
Yeah.
Nobody was clapping or cheering like you see, no.
No.
Why? No noise, no wheel spin, no
No smoke.
No wheel steam, no, nothing.
Disappointing to get 4.71 seconds and the world record still stands, Joe.
They're here last year. Jim Reed and everything else and a few others are getting down to fourth. I heard they're getting down into the 4.7s now, but way up. They're getting close.
Yeah.
Okay. But in that time, 1995, nobody in Australia or anywhere else, as far as I know, not in Australia, definite, had it come anywhere near the 5 seconds. Let alone
Yeah, they were 5 pluses, weren't they? The world record at that stage was about 5.1.
Yeah, that's it. That's drag racing, everything,
And-
worldwide.
And it went up against a twin jet, is that correct?
First run. Twin jet, twin 55,000 horsepower jet vehicle. The jet vehicle was halfway down the track, this one was finished, and the twin jet is recorded and everything else are doing 6.64 seconds, 253 mile an hour out of a jet vehicle, with flame, with noise, with, massive, flame and noise out the back. You know what jet is. And that was twin 55,000 horsepower jets. And this vehicle, first run it had no fuel, no wheelie bars, no big tyres, no nothing. It was finished. No record on...
Would have the Escort beaten it?
I don't think so. No.
Alright. There's...
Raw energy, if you want to look at it, and applying it to power source. You want to go out there and see raw energy, go out and look at some of the rails. Some of the massive power that they're flaming driving out of so-called fuels today, and the horsepower. And you don't do that on a vehicle on the road, not without a few modifications.
Joe, there's been mention of pouring some water into a polluted creek and cleaning up the water.
You're not supposed to do that.
No, but what happens?
Same thing again, you line up water with the right frequency to line up back into nature the way that God had planned it and everything else and so on, and it cleans itself. You go out there to a river, it's S-bend. You go and knock down too many trees, you go and do all these things. Storms have frequencies, you want to look at them and everything. Even if you look at the rainbows and everything else before and after a storm, you get them, the colours are backwards. Two rainbows in a storm and everything else. The colours, which are frequencies, you know that, lined all up, are back to back. They're not stacked and stacked the same. They are back to back. So it's reverse charge. It's reversed everything, You straighten out the rivers, put them and everything else in what God had built there with an S. And you stuff your waters. Kidney shapes, these flow forms and everything else are built into the rocks by the way that the water flows, and they're in the kidney S or 8, figure 8 sideways shape, and they've carved themselves into there to clean up water.
Joe, the other thing, if you add charged water into the car's coolant system, what happens?
Well, they do that now. It's called coolant.
Yeah.
They add
What
these
happens
things
when
to
you put it in, the actual charged water in? It seems to clean it up. Is that what's been your experience?
Yeah, all your rusting and all your other things and everything else are sort of altered, and your vehicle runs. There's fellas out there on the internet before years ago and actually did these things and said they have difference. They can run charged water into the manifolds, or they can put it in the carburetors, and they can put it into radiators and things like that, and get temperature differences in the firing ability of the engines. It's different frequencies, different alignments and everything else do alter a state of heat and cold. So that's a natural.
Transmutation, Joe, where you put a product, it might be oil or something like that in the cell, and it continues to grow, the oil or whatever. Is that normal?
You mean making it?
Yeah.
It's nature. You want to go back to the Bible, first page and everything else, out of water come all the solid ground. How many minerals, how many plants, how many everything else are in the solid ground? Because every bit of that are in water. And you can either pull them out or not. Just scientists may not know how. You can put some of these things back into water. You want to know one of them? Salt, sugar, things like that. You can stir it with a couple of stirs, solid stuff, take it straight in, dissolve it. get it back out. How quick did it go in? You should be able to get it back out the same. How much sludgy, shitty, mucky stuff do you start with by applying electrical charges and everything else to normal water to get a little grain of salt back out? Buckets of black, brownish sludge. But then when you dry it all down and take all this off, what do you end up with? Only a small amount. Okay? So, we just haven't figured out how God works yet. He does things very, you know, simple. Very simple to take some sugar and dissolve it into a cup of tea, get it back out. Okay? You should be able to get it back out. It's simple. How does he take your water, your liquid water, and take it up there in the sky and so-called piss it back down on you? Turns it into some other energy, something else, very quickly, very easily. You don't have to boil water to turn it into steam, to evaporate up into the air, to so-called make the cloud to so-called rain on you. No, you go out there in a freezing cold morning, go down the river and look at any water hole and everything. The damn stuff freezing cold is evaporating more visibly than what you see in a hot day. Cold. Science don't tell you that. Evaporation, heat, boil, steam. No. It does it a different way. And it also has a different charge. So your cold dew in the mornings and everything else carry a nitrogen or negative charge. But your air and your steam and everything else in the middle of the day when it's hot and does it this other way of evaporating has a positive charge. Or vice versa. Different ways, you know. It's been known by man in cars out there to get a hell of a lot more miles per gallon off that cold dew through the night. Your car runs a hell of a lot smoother and less fuel with less acceleration when the temperature drops, when the cloud comes over, at night time, and the cold dew in the morning. Go up the drags and have a look at the flaming drag cars. Just one little cloud comes over and they then start making horsepower because of the change in the air or the change in the charge of the frequency, and they just, wham, they're gone. If it does it to them, on the massive compressions and things what they got to make the horsepower, what will it do in your vehicle with less? Maybe not as pronounced, but it's still doing it. Good enough?
Thank you, Joe. The material used as a spacer in the material in the cells that are being produced at the moment.
I don't know. I don't produce any cells at the moment. I don't know what you're all using. All I do know, if you want that answer, is anything that you find which is a insulator for your electricity, which is AC and DC, okay, is really a conductor in another way. It just is turned around in a way that is lining up so that your electricity won't go through it and won't bite you and won't short out through there. Okay, so a insulator is really a conductor in another way. Conducts. It's the materials that we have. But yous are trying to use insulators, which you know of as insulators for AC and DC that we know of today. We're only using, for AC and DC, we're only using the north and south pole, or you know, isn't that it, our electricity, north and south?
Yeah, apparently.
Positive and negative, okay? And what happened to east and west? What happened to up and down? What happened to every other degree of in this earth as well? We only got electricity come from north and south, have we? Is that the only way that our energy fields or magnetisms or things line up? I don't think so. So what's actually happening is that in these cells you put these plates in called neutral plates, and if you watch this stuff, the electricity don't go the same as your normal electricity went. It goes different angles. So if it's turned around, say it just turned around to a 90-degree angle, okay, a 90 degree, compared to your normal metals and tubes and everything else jumping through the water that way. And you have a piece of insulator in between, and that's the electricity now because it's going on a different angle. Tesla found this out with the car coil, right, the coil. He found out that your positive and your negative go one way and around the coils and head back out the other way, but he ended up with this new energy coming out the other end as well. A different thing altogether. And it's not using the other, okay? It changes. alters the estate, frequency, all the rest. So what I believe is happening is the arrangement that is so-called Joe sells, and Joe never ever called them that ever. He doesn't make them, he doesn't build them, he doesn't show them, he doesn't sell them, and he doesn't do anything else with them at all. Nothing. Don't use them himself now. It's just something he found. He's turning the frequencies around. And then your now insulator is right in the damn road. Now if you watch some of these tapes and watch some of this stuff, you fellas here putting cells together, where's your shit come? Where's all the shit in the water or off your cells or your insulators? Where is the stuff going when it breaks down in the water with this low voltage DC charge and so on? Where's it go? Well, it's not staying in the water. Some plates, it's actually electroplating too. You figure out electroplating, you'll find out what kind of frequency that you actually applied these minerals, pulling them out of the water and turning them around and actually making them go and stick to your plates. You see, stainless is not supposed to stain anymore, but it does if you do it a certain way. And if you pull it out of the water, where's it going? Well, it's coming out of the water, but you didn't see it in the water in the first place, and it comes to the surface. Some goes to the plates, some goes to the plastics or perspexes, some goes to your rods, some go to positive, some go to negative rods, some don't go to them, not positive or negative, goes to the surface. Leave it on the surface for a little while and everything else, shut your cell down, just leave it, the shit sit in the top. Where's it go? The damn stuff falls out straight through and goes to the bottom. Okay? Go back and turn your machine back on. Where's it go? Straight from the bottom to the top. And where'd you get all this stuff from? There's heaps of it. And some of them just keep making and making and making and making. You ask, what about reproduction of things and everything? Where'd you get this stuff from? What's breaking down? Sometimes some of the cells aren't breaking down. The stainless is not breaking down. The cell isn't breaking down. The insulators aren't breaking down, but you're making heaps and heaps of stuff. Where is it? What is it? Man, it could be sugar that you stirred in there.
I
Could be salt that you stirred in there.
I thought it was dinosaur pee.
Don't believe in them things. I believe in creation. These things are created and they've always been there.
Joey,
Yeah.
next question. Hi Joe, can you first describe in detail and in layman's terms, we've just got to lie down first, alright?
This could come with a no answer.
Explain the wiring configuration that allows the engine to run on cold implosion air mode. It's my understanding all the components are already on the engine. Please tell us step by step what to do. Thank you.
No. I'll give you a couple of examples otherwise which are occurring naturally in an engine. We fire our timing before top dead center on the compression and everything else, and we're told that it explodes there. No, it doesn't. If it exploded there with some of these engines which are going not at 3, 4, 5 degrees before top dead center, 6 degrees, I mean, some of these big cast iron engines are going 22 up to 30, right? The Rover went to 80 degrees before top dead center with no fuel on there with this stuff. 80 degrees before top dead center, which is nearly no compression. It's especially halfway up the bore, right? Your normal engine, if it exploded before the piston hit the top, where do you think the piston's going to go? Where do you think your back wheels are going to go? Definitely not forward. They're going to go backwards. It's going to stop it and drive it backwards. It doesn't do that. Your piston, I don't care what you mechanics out there say and everything, get your head inside the cylinder and check it out. I don't care what you say. What happens is an implosion occurs when you set off your spark inside the cylinder. It doesn't detonate the engine anyway and blow your fuels. It's not spark. Right? It actually goes to the top of the cylinder and it doesn't start expanding out and everything else till it goes over top dead center. Then there's a big expansion. One of you fellas out there, go and check out what valve bounce is. Oh, valve bounce is the spark plugs. I mean the valves, the pistons and everything else going too fast. Stuffed a few flaming head engineers and people with that idea too. Valve bounce is creating it's not an implosion, it's a vacuum. Your piston has gone past top dead center, down the power stroke, and has run out of what's in there. got enough to get to the bottom, because on your upstroke you've got blow by. At the top when it fires now, you got massive expansion. You ever looked at some of the cold imploding engines? You ever looked at
Sterling?
Sterling has a hot air motor, but there are the opposite motors which are called liquor motors, and there's also other motors out there which are called a liquor motor is a good one. A liquor motor actually runs on the cold side. They actually wait till the piston goes right to the bottom and everything else, and everything cools, and then because it's already got to the cold, she sucks the piston up. They don't use the power expansion stroke, they use the cold closing side of it. You know them, they're out there, check on them. What actually happens in the engine is at the top of the stroke and everything else, big expansion, big heat, big everything else, and then it goes down the bore, but you've lost most everything to get you from the top of the piston to the top of the bore to the bottom of the piston. She gets so far down, runs out, and then creates a suction, and the smallest part is the valve head. Now you can put double valve springs on, think that you're you've slowed down by putting a extra load on it, but leave your engine stock standard with the stock standard valves and everything else, and you might be valve bouncing at 5,000 revs. Go and put turbo on. Turbo will give you pounds per square inch more of pressure in the bore. How fast can you go now? Okay. Well, you don't valve bounce at 5,000 revs. You might now valve bounce at say 9.5, 10. You're doubling the speed of the valve. And what have you done? You put more in the cylinder. That means that this is going up and down faster by double, and you don't valve bounce. With a standard valve, what was valve bouncing at 5,000 revs the way it was without the turbo. Now supercharger, what are you doing? Well, you can pump it right up to 8 speed, then everything else, because you're blowing extra more than the turbo into there, and the small valve with the small valve spring standard and everything else might now do somewhere between 10 to 20,000 revs, right? And still doesn't do it. And valves, they're cutting valves now on angles. They're not straight up and down over the top of the pistons. The ones that valve bounce the most are the ones straight up and down over the top of the pistons. What? Suction. Sucks it open. Your angle of your suck and everything else is diamond shaped and so on. One way is one way, pulls on the head of the piston, big surface area. The other way is the smallest, least amount. What's on the end of the piston? Piston's this big, conrod, crankshaft, momentum. Smallest, weakest point is at the tip, valve. Runs out. When your piston goes over the top dead centre, you've got no more virtual push. You're running out, you're pushing down by the expansion of your gases through heat. How quick does that turn into cold? Nearly pretty well instantly. Okay? With the shortest of the shortest engines, this big, that long, the whole bore that long, they're using the implosion side of it from red hot to cold. Go and check them. So it can turn from red hot to freezing cold and implode and suck up. So what's it going to do in your engine? Okay? It closes down and creates a vacuum. Check it out. I'm not going right into that now, but just look at the concept. Okay, how much you need to put into a bore to get the piston from top to bottom? Whatever the size of the engine is. Close your valves, compress it up, you lose some down past your rings. Explode at the top, you lose some more. Down the power stroke, what does it need to take the piston from the top to the bottom? What you had in there in the first place from, your intake. You haven't got it there. You haven't got it there. You might have more push, you think, because of expansion, explosion and heat, but that rapidly just closes down as the piston drops away. Rapid. So what do you got now? Cold. And doesn't things close down and contract very quickly under cold? Of course it does. And then, so your piston is doing it naturally, imploding with the frequencies first to get your piston to the top on your compression stroke, and then exploding and driving down the bore. And then at the other end you haven't got enough, so she creates a vacuum. That's not implosion, that's a vacuum. Okay? And slows down and sucks the smallest thing open. Okay? You build more into there, you go down further, and you go down faster. But people don't think of those things. Implosion engines, well, I suppose, kind Commodores are actually using it. Now, I'm not saying you've got to use positive for this and everything else, but Commodores are using the negative side to explode your gases and expansion and heat and everything else to blow the cylinder under compression. They're using the positive side of the coil at 6 degrees before top exhaust, and it actually implodes there. Now England are using the positive to actually drive a motor under compression in the compression chamber, same as we do in the on our negative side. So can't be that. Is it a combination of using up one and using up the other? I didn't say. I'm just giving you some little thoughts.
You're asking a question.
I shouldn't.
Oh no, no! Don't do that.
Try and work out these different things what are occurring and everything else. Commodores aren't firing positive and negative twice in the same cylinder at the same time. They actually drive in the other cylinders. Okay, and they do different things. But doesn't science teach you, even though they can't apply it themselves, don't they teach you for every action there is an opposite and equal reaction? So if negative exploded, what will positive do? But if England positive explodes, what does negative do? And then how do they get it to happen anyway? What do you got to do to make implosion? Well, did you know that some of these gases actually do it anyway? Water turned into hydrogen and oxygen. More oxygen, what's it do, Pete? Lower bang, yellow flame, boom, explosion. Get rid of the oxygen? Or is it get rid of the hydrogen? And the more that you get rid of one or the other,
you get rid of you.
The less pollutants that you have in the water, in other words caustic soda and that, the less pollutants you have in the water and the less of one gas compared to the other, hydrogen or oxygen, the crisper the crack. And some of these bubbles, you've played with cells and that, some of these bubbles actually don't explode. They turn from exploding into implosion, and your ears have been, with the pressure and everything else for sound and everything, take pressure. That's what your earlobes are doing. You got some good imploding ones, check your head. You got ringing in your head, you got hurting in your ears, and so on like that. You can't hear a damn thing for ages because she imploded. So normal water in nature turning into these things does two things anyway. It creates it. I'm not saying we want the hydrogen oxygen either.
Could you explain, Joe, theoretically what happens when the two frequencies collide?
Would that be in front of the camera with my fist on your face? Or
Yeah, go on. Yeah, come on, have a go.
Two energies. I don't know.
Hang on, I'll bring it in.
Two fists or whatever. I missed that, sorry. I was somewhere else.
Well, it was a question.
Two energies of what kind?
Well, it's in the polarity within the engine. Unfortunately, the printer that I printed this out with missed a bit. So please explain the details of what happens theoretically when the two frequencies collide and how they create this energy and what the similarity does. So it misses polarity.
I'm still missing what you're really talking about, but I'll go by this. Did you know that your car is producing two different energies in a bore anyway, naturally, to create an explosion? And it also two different things. And you have two different electricities, positive and negative, and so on like that. You've got AC and DC. The DC is supposed to run around all your car everywhere and so on. But at the coil, she's converted to AC. That AC is jumping across the spark plugs. But when that's supposed to happen, they tell you in the bore, you have this something all these wet petrols or gases and air and everything else sort of does what? Sort of like me punching you in the beak or you punching me in the beak, one or the other. Whoever hits the ground first in how big of a hurry. You get a spontaneous different reaction. Okay, sometimes if you run head on, you run head on to something, you have a big energy, either heat or bang, crash, don't move. Okay, good explanation. How do you take one piece of wire on your battery, positive on one end of your battery, negative on the other, and it's a dead straight piece of wire. You just touch it on both, what do you got?
Short.
Dead short.
And a hot wire.
Definitely. How do you get the dead short not to take place because of these two actually supposedly running into each other or fighting each other or whatever they're doing, not liking each other and producing what, a burnt out wire, a heat, a big spark, and burn the end of your terminal of your battery if it's got enough kick there? How? You're one piece of wire, what do you do to it?
Coil it.
Just coil it, grab your finger, sit around and wrap it. Now touch the same wire onto your battery, what happens?
The wire gets hot.
As quick? Big dead short on the end of the terminals? Is there a certain amount of windings that you can actually do on that piece of wire to stop the dead short and the wire getting hot? There's an amount. What now allows them to actually run straight past each other and don't interfere with each other because they're wound.
Right. Does it have to be wound around your finger?
Oh, you can wrap it around your head if you like. Yeah, well, you wrap it around the screwdriver, right? Coils are
Well, you
coils.
did say a finger.
And then Tesla found out winding it two different ways at the same time does a different thing.
Right.
And winding it same way. You go and grab a screwdriver, you want to magnetise it, what do? Wind it one way and hook it on. Put a piece of metal in between your piece of wire and touch it on the battery and your wire doesn't dead short or anything else. What actually happens? Your screwdriver becomes magnetised because the energy goes there. Okay? And if you wind it the other way, what happens? Well, the screwdriver is north pole one end and south pole the other end. What happens if you wind the piece of wire the other way? Well, the north and south change ends. Okay? And what do you got in the middle of your screwdriver? Nothing. Well, that wasn't around my finger or anything else. What about it?
Oh, it's number of windings. Number
I don't know, I can't count, I never went to school.
All right. No, well, I knew that. Just use your fingers, Joe.
17. In a loop, 17. They're not, they're just waves. There's an order. I use people out there and everything else, use anybody religious, anybody, it don't have to be religious, I'm not religious, but you ever notice that in the Bible there's a numbering system? You know the Bible can be read by numbers? You know there's chapters and verses in the Bible? Forget them, but did you know that every chapter, every verse has a number on it, and the numbers aren't that high, and all the numbers line up, and all the numbers never change. One number has a name and a reason for that number, and they all fall under that, all the way from one end to the other. You know, nature does the same. Nature. You want to check something? Go out to a Christian bookstore and order F.C. Payne, P-A-Y-N-E, book. It is only a little small book, it don't cost very much. It is on the seal of God. Forget if you don't believe in God, don't care, go and have a look at it as such to see what he's talking about. He talks about plants, flowers, vines, poisons, safe things to eat. In the Bible as well, numbers. Numbers for God, numbers for good, numbers for bad, numbers for going forward, numbers for going backwards, numbers for right things, numbers for wrong things. Okay? All things have a numbering order to them. You get them out of order, what are they going to do? Not what you want them to do. Okay? Do what the order is, and it will do what the order means. Okay? And if you want out of order don't also mean it's out of order. You might just put it in this arrangement, which you now call a new order, and it is now doing something for you which might in another way, the same order, fight against you. It might not be what you're after. It might not be what you want. And then put these two together. Say, Pete's trying to give me a wire here and everything else, so we wind one screwdriver one way through this and touch it on the battery, and we wind another one the same way for another piece of wire and put it on the battery. What do those two screwdrivers now do? They don't usually marry each other or anything else too well. They sometimes punch each other in the nose, or they push each other apart, or they attract to each other. It's different arrangements of different things in the orders that they're in. And you can make all these orders and arrangements to do pull, push, explode, implode, you know, go, not go, electrocute you or not electrocute you. Okay, frequencies, polarities. But science teaches for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. So, give it this way, if a car's supposed to, or if a car does run on petrol, then science says that a car should also be able to not run on petrol. Is that right?
That apparently is the law, as you've explained it.
The law says so.
Yeah.
Then you'll run on something else. Okay? Ask yourselves this question if you're looking at it as such. Water. Water itself doesn't burn, does it? Apparently not. And it doesn't, if you drink it, knock your brain stupid, so you go fall around the ground. Well, not to most people. Okay? Distilled water and distilled alcohol, what's the difference? So all liquids are 99.99999% flaming H2O, which is water. And in distillation, what is the process for distilling water and distilling alcohol? Exactly the same. And what is left behind in distillation? Every single thing. You heat it up, it evaporates, turns into H2O, steam gas, whatever. Then it condenses. And then it falls back down as purified water. Yeah? Well, that's the same process for alcohol. And you put the two in a glass and you can't tell the damn difference by looking at it. But what is the difference between alcohol and water? You know, scientifically there isn't any except break it all down. Water, alcohol burns. And drinking alcohol knock your socks off. And alcohol evaporates at a different rate. And alcohol you can put in your car and alcohol will burn in your car and the engine will run. It's not on petrol. And alcohol is 99.99999% water. And you put water into a diesel engine and the pistons don't go up and down anymore. And you put water into a electric spark engine motor and the piston does keep going up and down. Funny, huh? But you put water into an engine, it don't run on that water, but you put alcohol into an engine and it does. Even in diesel engine, you put diesel hull and all that stuff, you know, alcohol into that, it runs. They mix it, right? What's a diesel do if you put alcohol into it? It screams its flipping head off. And usually goes bang, man. It's screaming too fast. Put petrol into diesel engine, what does it do? Starts, runs, goes. Stick diesel into a petrol engine, what does it do? Well, compression ratio is a little bit out, knocks its head off, right? Knocks and bangs and clunks, blows a lot of smoke, but goes. Okay. And what do you do with your car to stop your car from going? Turn the spark off. Stick diesel into a petrol engine and build up your compression. Shave your head, build up your compression a bit. Turn your spark off, what does it do? Keeps going. Have too high compression in a electric petrol spark engine. Too much compression. Turn your key off, what does it do with petrol or anything? Keeps going. Pull the battery out, keeps going. Pull the distributor off, keeps going. Why? Because it's flipping dieseling, they call it. Because of the compression. All you're using the spark in an engine for is because of the low compression ratio of the stuff that you're evaporating and burning. Alcohol evaporates differently than what water does. Water cools you, alcohol cools you faster with air blown on it. Yes?
Evaporates faster.
Yep, and leaves you a colder rate behind. Drink it, knocks your brain out. Somebody said, this guy called Joe, who actually took water and put a charge to it in a certain way of alignment and actually lit it in front of people. Lit water and it burnt.
No, you can't do that.
I didn't say it was me, I said this guy called Joe. and in front of all these people and everything else, and it was drinkable water that was given to all these people. And what's the difference between water and alcohol? Apparently only a frequency of some sort. You know, in that Bible, if you don't believe in everything else, there's a guy called Jesus, if there was a guy called Jesus, and so on. And what did he do in this so-called little story? They were at a wedding, run out of plonk, run out of wine. So they all come to Jesus, the miracle guy. They said, we're out of plonk. Why don't they just go to the store and buy it? Couldn't.
Woolies wasn't open?
That's it. Shop shut. Pub shut. So they said, what are we going to do? Well, what are you telling me for? I'm not a winer, you know, making a wine, alcohol and everything else. But we've got this wedding on and we run out of plonk. And Jesus got pestered that much. He said, well, go out and get 5 barrels of water. Go fill them. 5? That was an interesting number. Brought them back in. Now, what did he do? Oh, I know what he done. He went and got a Joe cell. Hooked it up.
Did he play with the Joe cells first off?
Silly bugger. Anyway, what did he do? He just said, now pour it out. Pour it out. We only got water in there. Well, the story is that when they poured it out, it was the best tasting wine out. And the reason, what the people said, and what's written there, is that stupid people here. We go to a wedding, they feed all these guys the good wine first, get them all a bit plastered, then give them the shit because they don't know what they were drinking. It's a strange wedding because in this story, they gave us the shitty stuff. Well, it was alright wine, but you know, got us plastered first, and then they brought out the best. Something strange wrong with these guys. That was the story. All he did was what? Well, he didn't use anything. He didn't touch them. You ever looked at Emoto stuff? What's his name?
Dr. Emoto.
Call him Cosimoto.
Oh.
Right, I do. Emoto. That's right. Anyway, I never remember his name, so I call him Cosimoto. Anyway, Emoto uses the water crystal, which is the format of water and everything else. And what happens? People's mind, just thinking, acting, doing, writing, thinking good, thinking bad. What happens to the water crystal?
Changes beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, flaming hell. Go and look at the stuff. You've never seen it? From a beautiful crystal, water crystal and everything else, it turns into a black, messy, distorted crap. That's if you lie. That's if you write the wrong thing. That's if you do the wrong alignment. The water has a memory. The water knows when you're lying. The water's a, what do you call it? A truth teller. No,
Is it?
Must be. Because if you tell a lie and you've got a water crystal there, it turns into a horrible big black mess.
Mm.
So it's a, what do you call those things when you...
Divining.
Divining, is it? Good on you. Divine.
Divine. Very divine.
No, you believe in evolution and flaming dinosaurs and that crap. You don't believe in creating divine inspiration or order or alignment.
Who does?
No.
Alright. Joe, what happened here? What have you done with them?
They haven't done anything.
Hmm?
I don't think so. These are called rattlesnake eggs. Rattlesnake never come out of one of these. But rattlesnake eggs, they tell you, rattlesnake laden, what they say, rattlesnake egg. The magnetism in this has just been lined up a different way. Go get yourself the kids ones. Why are they kids? Because science don't want you to know what they do. They actually take the 2 poles of what a normal magnetic field is, which is on each end, and they flame and put them on the damn sides. And then instead of, when we rotate one around, instead of repelling off, these things here don't repel. They'll go round, 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 and then they still stick. And you turn them around a different way. They've put 4 poles. I thought it was only 2, north and south.
Yeah, that was until you got a hold of it.
No, these do it without me.
But you explained it beautifully. And they were the other ones, just to stuff it up.
This is interesting. You know why this is interesting? These are round. They're round. Completely round.
Yeah, they've been around here for a while.
So is this earth. There's a question in the Bible. It says, actually it's not really a question as such, but it's a good question for you. Find the far eastern corner of that.
Hey, it's real easy to find the far eastern corner.
No, That doesn't tell you the far eastern corner.
Yeah, look what you've done to the magnet, Joe.
No, look. What happened was that God took the best of the best out of Eden, which is called this earth, and he stuck in the far eastern corner of a circle something called the Garden of Eden. The far eastern corner of a circle. And there he planted all the best of the best, and there he stuck man. Circle earth. Find the far eastern corner. Funny thing is, it looks like somebody found it here. Somewhere. Because I don't want to go until you get to the other side and then the circles push away. They pollard through the middle. It's funny, isn't it? You mean somebody put a pollard through the middle of these things. And these ones don't throw off either. You rotate them and they don't throw away, but other magnets do. That's just telling you that one way that you line up a magnet, you can do it one way, and another way that you... Is that called polarising?
Does it?
What do they mean? No, I just think that there's more poles. See, on those rattlesnake ones, and one of these here, you think that you only got north and south pole. Okay, but on them there, you can find 4 poles on one. Where'd you get the other poles from? Because they're not north and south. They're not north and south. And they don't, as you wind them, push away. So they're not opposite poles. Yes, and when you wind them up, you get a heap more poles. You get them back on the ends.
When you turn them, they come apart.
Yeah, and you don't have poles. You have poles on the sides, multiples, and you got poles on the ends, which you never had before. And they don't do what... And these are called, you hear the rattle? Hear the crackle? That is bouncing poles. When you move them towards each other, they pull in, but they're not pushing away, they're making this sound, which is a polar distortion. It's funny. Bounces the frequencies. So that's why they call them rattlesnake eggs, because they make this like a rattlesnake tail. You throw them up in the air, they do the same thing and all these things. You know, don't just do it there, you just throw them up.
Yeah, that's up.
For every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. Everything what goes up must come down, everything what goes down should, scientifically.
It does.
Right? Should. Yeah. Different fields. Different field effects.
That way they can get to see where the fields are too, Joe.
Oh, that's another just single pole magnet.
Yeah.
Well, that's no good. Well, that's no good either.
Huh?
Yeah.
Why don't try?
Because 2 of them together done something different. Now, we used to play with all these. That should, if you sit and play with them and everything else, explain different ways of different fields, which is north and south pole gives you your positive and negative. Positive and negative is north and south. North and south your AC and DC electricity. There seems to be a few more there. What are they? Well, they're not registered on your counters.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, we only tested with a flat piece of paper with the iron filings tipped on top. We're not actually looking at it in a 360 degree.
And Geiger counters, what are they reading? Radioactivity or vibration or distortion or something? So on. How long did it take these government people, scientists and everything else to actually pull these couple of different metals to pieces and end up with radioactivity? Split second as they pulled it to pieces. Science says for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. How long did it take to create it? Split second. How long should you take to remove it? Thousands and thousands of years. That's opposite equal. Done that one.
Fantastic.
You know, the scientists weren't even interested in it, removing radioactivity in a split second. They weren't interested. Crazy. They created it in a split second, and they tell you it's going to take thousands of years to diminish. Have they been around thousands of years to actually find out that it actually diminishes them? I don't think so. Some of our science isn't wrong, that isn't explained to the full degree, that's all. I'm not calling it wrong. I'm just saying that it hasn't been explained to the fullest degree. And all the angles or options that you possess within it, same as your car, same as water, same as anything else. All I did with the water, no, sorry, it wasn't me. All of this fellow
A
I
mate
did
of
with
yours
the
called Joe that keeps looking back at you in the mirror.
Yeah, I keep looking at him to see what he looks like, and I never remember what he looks like ever. I know every time I look at him he's different. I think, who's that? Anyway, all it did was put a frequency into the H2O, which actually made the H2O burn and also evaporate differently and also cool differently and also won't run in an engine. So it doesn't have the same ability as alcohol. I didn't turn it in from water to wine, okay?
But they're whining about that you didn't show them properly, Joe.
They come back and show me what they can do. And then I might still not show you. I don't have to do anything.
You don't?
No.
And thank you for sharing that with us today.
Is that all the questions?
No, there's still another 8 to go. You ready?
You got any quick ones? Or is your
A
day
quick
running?
one.
Yeah.
Eh? What's a quick one?
My wife and baby aren't there yet, are we?
No?
They're not back yet? Oh, we got to ring them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Use the
No one
telling,
know we're finished.
use the telling bone.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
I've got no money.
Got no money.
I'll share
You're
that
married.
with you. I've got no
mate.
money. I didn't ask for any. So what he said, do I want to share with you? I ain't got no money to share with you.
I'll send you the account details. You can put the money in. Good one, Joe.
Car's running off water and everything else. I'm not doing it, so I'm not sharing it. I'm just trying to tell you what people are putting out there is a lot of bullshit, a lot of it. So start checking out really what is out there and what actually happens. And the thing is, I don't care what you do, and I'm not interested in doing it. So don't want the praise or glory, I don't want your money, and I don't want to be known for this stuff, and I really don't care whether you get it or you don't. I didn't do it for you. Can't help that. Didn't do it for you. Other people took it out there. Other people called it Joe Sells and everything. I didn't. So I'm happy enough just to step away. All the threats under the sun never stopped me. Okay? And I didn't get them to kill me. So I chose. And when you are good enough in yourself and be satisfied in yourself to say that you haven't got any no dependency on any of these things in your life, and you can just give them up and walk away from them and don't care about them and be free. Doesn't matter.
They're not binding.
Yeah, nobody's going to buy me and nobody's going to force me into anything as such and so on. So on, you know, I mean, people could try, you know, but they're not going to get what they want because I don't have these problems. And I just go out, even though I've got no money, I go out and put petrol in the car. And then all these government people or whoever else don't want to, you know, don't want us to run around on whatever we're supposed to know about and run around on, well, they're not going to catch me doing anything except what I'm supposed to do, what they want me to do, which is put petrol in the flipping car. They won't catch me doing anything else. So then they can't dump on me and they can't charge me and I won't get a fine and they won't take my car because our fingers don't even have a car at the moment. So they can't take that. So my thing is, I've got a wife and a baby which I class as not dependents, as co-people with me. And I depend on them for their love and attention, and I suppose that they depend on me. My baby depends on me to feed and change his nappy and so on. So I do it. Lovingly, willingly, and stuff everything else what's going to interfere with that. So, money included. People offer me jobs or anything else, stuff it. Oh, but you haven't got any money, but you do this job and you can get this amount of money and you can get stuff. My kids need me now, my wife needs me now, and I don't need you or the job or anything else. You know? And be free to say that. Doesn't matter. Yeah. All these tapes, all these cells, all these things, all these thousands and thousands of sites on the internet, all these people playing with this, I really don't care because I care about something else. And it's not important to me what you play with or what you do, but I don't like to see some of you people getting led down the wrong track, so I'll try. I don't have a need of it, but this tape's here to try and explain to you Some of the things you think you're running on, you're not. Some of the people have put up a big fight to say petrol and all these things run cars and everything else. You're not always correct. It might happen that this reaction happens with petrol, but it also happens with a lot of other things. And your natural car pre-ignites in cold diesels without the petrol. Okay? So if it does that, and then you can finally tune that without the petrol, look at that. Look at some of the other concepts when they didn't have petrol and what they come up with. They had many things. Okay? Go back to the library. Can't read. Go back and sit in the library and chase up some of these things from the past when they had to find something else to get around. You want to fix everything? Go back to a horse. No pollution.
Oh, yes, there is.
Oh, there is. That's right.
Yeah.
Methane.
Yeah. And they eat grass.
That's it, and you step in it.
And you do step in it.
Yeah, and you didn't get there as fast as you want to get there now. So what? Why are you trying to go so fast? Because you get out there in the car and you go so fast, you get down that road, somebody else is going just as fast the other direction or faster, and you happen to be there and bang, you're dead. You don't go anywhere now.
Ah, but yes you do.
How fast do you want to die? Some of these things...
So Joe, you've also healed people.
No, I don't heal people.
No, well they heal themselves through the assistance that you've been...
Your body, by
charging
God,
with.
and nature and natural, has been lined up to heal itself and stay alive forever. You pollute it a bit, it dies a bit sooner. You stick the wrong things into it, it dies a lot sooner. It gets out of shape and out of order and out of living, doesn't it? So, what do? Diseases and everything else, we find brand new ones every day. What is it? It's only because you either ate the wrong food again and got out of frequency, out of alignment, or out of something else, and your body reacts to it in a different reaction and says, here, take this. Okay, because there is an order, but you're out of it. So what is the order? Every single thing in your body is 100% in alignment of a frequency, electricity. Not big faults, not big amps. It's an alignment of a new energy, what God uses. It's not your magnetism, AC, DC, electricity. Your body's a power plant. Your brain is all electric. Your brain runs all the things in your body, but every atom in your body, every atom is a nuclear power plant, if you want to put it. So they said, but I don't say nuclear. It's a power plant.
Well, new is just unclear, isn't it? When you
And
turn
then
it around.
one thing on your body gets out of alignment, one atom gets out of alignment or something because you done something to it. What does it need to get back into alignment? Line up the flipping frequencies again. So all that's happened is that some way that some people have come up with medicines or minerals or things like that to actually realign what was out of order, what they put out anyway, or you put out. So find the things what puts them back in there. I just found that different things like can be the water cells, can be car batteries, which are DC flatline. Transformers converted back from AC to DC can actually line you up. Other people have found AC helping people line them up. You know, so you're putting your electrics or interacting with your electrics in your body back into some sort of order, or you can do other things, make it worse. Do the wrong thing, put it out of order. Apparently so I've been told, and it's happened, and we've seen it and everything else. Got reports from all around the world as well that some people have put these cells together and have got very sick and nauseous, and some people felt really good, and some people have been blacked out for 20 minutes or more by just turning a cell on. Okay, what's it doing? What are you built there to do to people? You know, I've had people being healed by touching the car. They just touch the car. The car dies when it happens, but this, whatever being generated, goes into the person, they get healed of many things. Just clicking again.
Is it?
Anyway.
Is it run out of another tape?
If you're electric, every inch of you, which it is, every sense, every feeling, every touch and everything else is frequencies, alignment and everything else. If something gets out of alignment, what do you need to do? Put it back into alignment. How do you do that? Well, you've got to figure out what you're in, what you're running on. And then go and play with it and put it back the way it was. figure out how it was in the first place. That's pretty hard to do, eh?
Mm.
So these things is, it's just I stumble across a few things which put some people back into order sometimes. And do I have to learn these things and everything? No. I'm silly, I just go out and do it. I go out in faith, that thing called, and go and say the person's going to be healed, and they're going to be healed. And no matter what disease they got, it seems like it's happened. So, and they got cured. And they don't get it again. I don't know. Why don't you try it yourself? That's what the Bible told you to do. Jesus told you to go out there in faith and so on like that. Open your flaming gob, and it happens. He says, go and tell that mountain there to pluck itself up, go plant itself in the ocean. It'll do it. Now you're thinking I'm silly, but why would you want to do that for? Okay, but if you had faith, which is this thing inside of you, which is no doubt whatsoever, I'd have to doubt if I said, walk over there, tell the mountain, go pluck itself up and plant itself in the ocean.
You're telling it the wrong thing. You just say,
Just
come
say
on
the wrong
down
way.
to the beach and let's go surfing.
That
Got
how
to
you do it.
encourage the mountain down.
So things like that, right? Yeah.
Thanks, Joe, and thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, that'll do for now. Tape's ended. See you next time, maybe.
Well done. Thanks, Joe. Well done.
Good on yous. I'll give yous a clap for doing what yous are doing and thinking the way you're thinking. Okay? You need a pat in the back too for what yous are doing and how you're thinking, and you're actually questioning the authority and the law. I'm not saying the police, I'm saying the law of science, the law of mathematics, the law of cars, the law of electricity, the law of something. You're questioning it. If you question it, you're going to come up with a different answer, a different way of doing things. That's good. It's all what happened with me. It's all what happens with other people. Question everything. There's no law to anything. Good on you.